People, hello, how are we? Hopefully, we are all doing well. I'm Tom. Now, I appreciate this isn't exactly the greatest of sets, is it? It's my car, right? Might rename the channel to the driver's seat by Tom Gamble. You know what I mean? Anyway, Dubois versus Hrgovic. This is the fight that was rumored for a very long time, and look, I thought we were going to get it, but the only, I guess, caveat to that, the only reason I thought maybe it might not happen, is because obviously it seems like Hrgovic was waiting in the wings, waiting on the side for that title challenge, which he was obviously gonna get because he was mandatory. Seemed like it was going to be against AJ. I think the general consensus, the general idea was that if he waits on the side, AJ Fury Usyk, the winner's gonna have to vacate a belt or two, one of them being the IBF, and he's mandatory for that. AJ being number three ranked, I guess, will then fight Hrgovic for the vacant belt. I think that's why we saw the Mark Demori fight, but maybe the Mark Demori fight was just a keep busy fight because actually he hadn't fought in a while. He'd been lackluster against Zhang and against um, Dempsey McKean. Mine went blank for a second there. So it could have just been that. You know, I hesitate to say it was. Well, clearly it wasn't him foregoing any proper challenges. So, like I say, he did look lackluster. It was a subpar performance from Hrgovic in his last. I'm not gonna include Mark Demori because Mark Demori was a bit. I mean, it was a gimme fight. He turned up to get paid. But against Zhang and against Dempsey McKean, it was a bit of a lackluster performance. Now, granted, against Zhang, his dad had just died. Obviously, it was a long time at the ring, and his dad had just passed away. So I get that, and obviously, time has gone on to show that actually Zhang's a bit of a contender. That Zhang win aged well. Um, Dempsey McKean, he looked like he was struggling. Looked like he struggled to get out of gear. Now he won the fight, but he struggled to get out of into top gear there, didn't he? Against a fighter who he really should have been. I mean, I guess comfortably beating, which he wasn't able to do. Now on to Dubois. Watching the Jarrell Miller fight back, it's not exactly what I'd call elite versus elite. It was a good fight, it was an entertaining fight, and I think it's done a lot for Dubois. I think it's boosted his stock a lot. I think it's silenced a lot of haters, but it wasn't exactly top level boxing. I think that's fair to say. I'm not taking anything away. I'm just trying to, you know, I've been harsh to Hrgovic, just be harsh to Dubois. And before there, he got schooled by Usyk. Now, you can say what you want, low blow, this, that, and the other. The fact is, he got schooled by Usyk. And he did. He lost every round of that fight. He lost every round of that fight, and he got schooled by Usyk. And let's have it right, Usyk wasn't the best. Now, I think Usyk wasn't the best in that fight because ultimately, he was fighting on a soaking wet canvas because it was absolutely chucking it down, and it was an open roof, so it was getting wet on the canvas. Now, a slick, slippery boxer can't be a slick, slippery boxer if it's a slick, slippery canvas. I think that's why he then had to just front up and take it to Dubois and get him out of there. And look, he did that. Now, was it Usyk's best performance? No, but a Dubois, a good Dubois, was getting schooled by a relatively bad Usyk, right? Now, again, low blow or whatever. Let's take it out of the equation. Other than that, Usyk was in no trouble. So I'm looking at it going, actually, the last two fights for either fighter haven't been world elite level. I'd say, Hrgovic is the better fighter, but his last two fights have been worse. Dubois, who's a worse fighter, his last two fights have been better, especially that Jarrell Miller one. There's no shame in losing to Usyk and beating Jarrell Miller in the fashion he did. Fair play to him. You know what I mean? So yeah, all that to say, I've given them their critiques, been harsh to them, but that's how it right. It's two top 10 guys going at it. In my opinion, two top 10 heavyweights going at it. Two very good heavyweights going at it. Two young fighters. Dubois is young. Hrgovic is relatively young. He'll be around after the current top level crop have gone. And they're both trying to prove themselves, aren't they? They're both trying to prove how good they are, trying to maintain that top seat, that seat at the top table, and get that title shot, which ultimately the winner of this will get a title shot. And they're both trying to get that. They'll be that against a Parker, be that against an AJ, or the winner of Fury Usyk, or the winner of that fight versus AJ. They're going to get a title shot, and I think this is them going to prove that. So I'm really hoping that we'll get a better Dubois, and I think we'll get a better Hrgovic. I think Dubois will force Hrgovic to be better than he's shown in the last 3 fights. And I think Dubois will have come on leaps and bounds from that Miller fight. I think that will have really made him a better fighter. Enough of a better fighter? Well, I don't know. Mentioning that spar, there's been a lot of talk about that spar, hasn't there? Dubois, I'm led to believe, a lot of reliable sources have said that Dubois was knocked out by Hrgovic in a sparring fight match. But, and this isn't to take away from Hrgovic, I think everyone has been beaten up by Hrgovic in sparring. He was known as beaten up Wilder before he even turned pro. He was beaten up Wilder in sparring. He gave David Haye the cut, so David Haye had to pull out the Tyson Fury fight in sparring, and now he's knocked out Daniel Dubois in sparring. Then he had to press that fight back. Like he's known as being that guy in sparring. Everybody's been beaten up by Hrgovic in sparring. So so make of that what you will. Is what I'm trying to say. And there's a lot of talk about this, which look, obviously it was a very, very long time ago, and both clearly have changed. There's no denying that. That said, what you need to try and work out is just because they've changed, that doesn't mean the outcome will necessarily be any different. Because it was a long time ago, and Dubois has certainly changed, and I go as far as to say Hrgovic has changed. But does that mean the outcome of their fight will be different? Well, not necessarily. It could be the exact same. I think it's obvious. I think it's almost non-negotiable. They have both changed, but like I say, that doesn't necessarily mean the outcome of the fight is going to be any different. On that point, Dubois can crack. You know what I mean? Dubois can hit, really hit. As can a lot of heavyweights, but Dubois really can. That said, then again, so can Zhang. Zhang can too, and we've seen Hrgovic was able to withstand that for 12 rounds. And can you do that against Dubois? Well, we'll see soon enough, won't we? But like I say, Zhang can crack, and he was able to withstand Zhang. In fact, he was able to get up from one of Zhang's. The difference is, I think Zhang gasses after 4 or 5 rounds, whereas I don't necessarily think we're going to see that from Dubois. So can he withstand the pressure later on? I don't know, obviously. Now, like I say, I think a lot of the Dubois issues, he didn't look awful against Usyk. He just got schooled by a master of the art of boxing. You know what I mean? He just got taken to school by one of the best ever, let alone our time, at what he does. But he himself didn't look awful, and he did catch Usyk, for sure. I think a lot of the Dubois issues stem from the fact that people see Dubois as a quitter. They've seen him quit against Joe Joyce. They've seen him quit against Usyk, and it puts like a negative image on it of him. It's quite hard to shake when you're labelled as a quitter. It's hard to shake that image. And yeah, okay, the Jarrell Miller fight went some way to fixing that, but did it fix it? Well, no, it didn't. But look, I don't think he is. I think having done boxing, it hurts. You know what I mean? And getting a broken orbital bone, the last thing you're gonna want is a huge guy like Joe Joyce landing that, and then getting taken to school and just completely ran circles around by Usyk, and then you get hurt. You're fighting a losing battle. Now, should he have stopped? I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is, I think Dubois is of a level, as we saw against Jarrell Miller, where he will force Hrgovic to show up. He's going to force Hrgovic to be the best Hrgovic, which is great, because ultimately that's what we want, and then hopefully that can finally make Hrgovic look good. Because that's what I want is I want a good Hrgovic to show up and obviously a good Dubois to show up. And I think a good Dubois will make a good Hrgovic show up. Um, Now, my prediction, I'm sure a lot of you will know, I've gone with Dubois. I've made 2 videos on this, and I've got my prediction fights, and in that I said Dubois. And I've got my reaction to the fights when they were announced, and in that I said Dubois. I have shifted. I do think Hrgovic will win. I think Dubois will bring out a really good Hrgovic that we haven't seen for a while. I think that's why Hrgovic has taken this fight, and I think Dubois might be getting more credit than he deserves. I think that he got taken to school by Usyk, and people think that low blow means that he should have won the fight when actually he was losing the fight. And I think Jarrell Miller, I watched it back, and it was great and entertaining, but it wasn't elite level. I think he's good enough to push Hrgovic, El Animal, there's a reason he's called that, to be the best he is. And then when Hrgovic takes Dubois to deep waters, I think he's going to start getting flashbacks and memories of that spar, and ultimately that will be what prevails, and Hrgovic is going to win. Stoppage, I don't know. Points, I don't know. I think he might quit again. Quit. I think he'll get taken to deep waters, and then Hrgovic will force him to stop. 11-10. But you let me know your thoughts down below, people. I'll try and get a bit of a better set going on. Obviously, the car's not ideal. Then if you think I should change it to the driver's seat with Tom Gamble. But anyway, you let me know your thoughts down below, people. You know how YouTube works. Make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.